This exact strategy could literally double your numbers, and I'm not talking just close rate, I'm talking show rates, I'm talking your booking rates. It could double absolutely every single number across the board if you have it down, and I'm going to explain why in this video. And if you don't already know who I am, I'm Cole. I'm one of the co-founders of NCT Media. We basically help roofers scale by booking thousands of qualified appointments per month straight to their calendars, completely done for them using various marketing strategies that I share for free on this channel. So I'm going to explain this exact strategy from A to Z, how it works, why it's important, and I'm actually gonna show you how to implement it into your business today so you could see this increase in numbers. Now, what is this strategy exactly? What am I talking about? What's this $1 million thing, right? And it's called speed to lead. So what is speed to lead exactly if you don't already know what it is? It's essentially the time it takes for you to contact a lead, right? So time to contact lead. Now, a lot of you guys, this is like a foreign concept that, you need to call your leads quickly. You kind of just think like, if they come in, I call them a couple hours later, I got other stuff that I need to get done, whatever. Like that's kind of the mindset that we see around calling leads, is just like, it's something that you do when you have free time. But that is completely wrong, and you having that mindset and that system in your business is screwing you over completely. Calling your leads quickly is probably the most important thing that you need to be doing on your marketing and your sales end. Now, I'm gonna explain to you why this is the most important thing. So I would say it boils down to 3 primary reasons. The first reason associates primarily with your booking rate, right? So the first reason is they forget about you and about the ad. Forget about the ad, right? So when you call them and you're like, hey, this is Joe from XYZ Roofing Company, right? You filled out an ad. Like that's essentially what you're saying in your opening line there. And if they don't remember that they filled out an ad, that entire call goes to shit, right? Because they're just not gonna remember, and they're just gonna be like, oh no, I don't remember ever filling out an ad. Boop, hang up. Done. Conversation over with, you lose a lead. They're not gonna convert into an appointment, and now, you're just throwing money out the window right there, right? And oftentimes you have to realize when you're scrolling on social media, you might fill out a couple things, you're seeing so many videos, you're seeing hundreds or even thousands of videos in one session of just scrolling on social media. And you might fill out a couple applications, you fill out an application, you scroll a bunch more, then you end up forgetting everything about what was in the ad, everything that was about, the company name, etc., right? They might have that problem. So you can still maybe like salvage that lead because they still have that problem of, needing a roof, but they're gonna forget everything. So you lose a lot of juice on that call, and also they're less likely to answer as well if you're waiting, right? Because right when they fill out the application, they're high interested, they're ready to go, they're waiting for you to contact them essentially, right? And the more time that goes on, like I said, they're going to be more likely to forget, and they're not gonna answer their phone because they're not looking out for a phone call after 30 minutes or an hour. They're just done, they forgot about it. They're not gonna remember anything that you talk about even if they do answer, right? So we're gonna say booking rate down and contact rate down, right? So booking rate when they answer is going to go down, and then contact is also going down because of this, right? We've seen differences when we're contacting leads, hours versus minutes. We've seen differences being 50% booking rate versus like a 10% booking rate. Like as extreme as that. It's ridiculous, because the thing that you have to realize is most of the time, like most of our leads that book, right? We have around like 60 to 70% booking rate on a lot of our accounts. Most of the bookings come with the initial first dial, and very few, it's around like 10% of our bookings come from second dial, third dial, fourth dial, etc. What that essentially means, what that data point is showing, is that the first contact, which is the closest to them filling out the application, is going to be the most important to have down, right? And that means the more time that goes on, the less likely someone is to book, right? So our booking rate from, first contact versus our booking rate on people that don't answer that first contact and all other dials that we make is significantly lower. And this second point also does correlate with booking rates, but it also correlates with your close rates and even your show rates as well. So that is, they'll find someone else. Essentially why this affects everything, and it's pretty self-explanatory, but when they're filling out an ad on Facebook for getting a new roof, you know what that tells Facebook? Hit them with more of these ads. So they're gonna see some other ads with similar offers, similar deals, etc., and they're gonna fill out some more ads, right? So now you probably have within a 5 to 10 minute span them filling out, let's say, 3 different ads with 3 different companies, right? So if your speed to lead is 10 minutes, right? You could have those 2 companies or one of those companies contact them and book with them before you even reach them, right? So by the time you reach them, even if you do reach them, because they might just be like, oh, I found the company and not answer, so that affects your contact rates again, or even your booking rates. You get on the phone with them, they're like, oh, I found another company, or maybe they'll book with you as like a second backup option, and they're gonna probably book with you a further, date out from that first company. They probably got closed by that first company, and then you lose out on the deal, right? So it affects all those numbers throughout all the stages. It could affect show rates as well, because again, if they book a day out from, let's say they book a day out, they book on Sunday for Monday with the first company, and then they book on Tuesday with you, right? And they show up to that Monday appointment and they get closed, or they're highly interested, they're probably just gonna no-show your Tuesday appointment because they don't care, they found their guy. So even if you're that third company that they fill out in that 10-minute span, more than likely those other 2 companies are taking their time contacting their leads. We've seen this happen with so many other companies, and that's also why, the way we run things for our clients is we have an entirely dedicated in-house sales team with our company to call leads in under 60 seconds for our clients. In most cases, it's under like 35 seconds for our clients, because a lot of the times, you guys are busy, you have other stuff going on, and that is how we're actually able to achieve such extreme volumes in our campaigns with our clients. Like we have some clients doing like 1,000 or upwards of 1,000 appointments per month with us. And if you're interested in any of that, we have a top link in the description where you could fill out an application to see if you're a good fit and book a call. We take care of everything for you: lead generation, booking the appointment. We even nurture the appointment before, so they show up with less objections and less questions, make them more ready to close. But that's besides the point. Let's go on to the next one here. Second one, just to recap, they're gonna find somebody else. It's gonna affect your contact rates, your booking rates, etc. So if you're contacting these guys in 30 seconds, you're probably most likely to be to the lead first. And our best practices for our call team is to actually book that lead as soon as humanly possible for the same exact reasons. Whether you're on Google, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're cold calling, whether you're doing anything, you should already assume that they have multiple other companies in your market competing for that same exact lead, booking appointments with them, booking estimates with them, trying to close that same person because they are in the market for a roof. So you should assume that regardless of where you are, what platform you're on, and you need to be quick and you need to be fast. Speed kills. So let's move on to the next one here. The next one here is called the interest spectrum. So essentially, let's say up here is 10 interest, and that's where they buy. So this is the buying point, and then they have 0, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And essentially when they book, they're a 3 interest, and you need to get them to a 10 in order for them to buy, right? What happens is this is them filling out the application. They see your ad, they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I need a new roof, They're not too sold on your company. They don't know exactly what price they're gonna get, the quality of work they're gonna get. They don't trust you too much, like I said. They're not fully sold, but they're interested, right? So it's very low. They're still far off from buying, but they're, you have your foot in the door, let's say, right? So that's when the lead comes in, right? They still have so many questions, like I said. They have objections, like I said. So they have so much stuff that needs to get solved and answered, but every second you wait, every minute you wait, that interest, it dwindles, right? So it's gonna go down and then go down and then go down until it's at 0, right? And once it's at 0, it's gonna be really hard to get them back up again. So you wanna kind of continue that momentum. And the way you do it is you capture them right when they're at that 3 interest. So you call right when they fill out their application, and you're answering some questions, you're building some rapport, you're developing some trust with the company and the prospect, and now you bring up the interest to like maybe a 5 or a 6, right? And now that increases the chances not only of them closing, but also of them showing. And we have some best practices, like I said, that we do for our clients, where we answer questions and objections pre-appointment to actually further that interest, to make it easier on our clients to close. So we try to get them as close to that 10 point as possible before the actual appointment. You can't really do that oftentimes. Like the sales guys probably got to take them from like a 6 to a 10 or a 7 to a 10. But if we could get them to, a 6 to 7 to an 8 before the appointment, that is really ideal. It makes it really easy on, the sales guys. So that's essentially what it is. This is kind of separate from the other two in a way, right? We're capturing them at their moment of interest and we're building that interest, because it's going to be a lot harder, as the interest decreases, to bring them back up. So we want to capture it, use that momentum, develop rapport, answering questions, etc. Boom, book them as soon as possible, because like I said, as time goes on and they're not getting constant information, as time goes on, their interest dwindles. So booking them same day or next day is also very important, because now you're not talking to them. You should be sending them emails and texts and videos, etc., but you're not on the phone with them for that whole day. So every time they're not getting a piece of information or building a connection with you and your company, then their interest is going to dwindle, right? So you want to constantly be attacking them and providing them with information, building that trust to bring up that interest. Okay, now let me break this down right in front of your face and how this converts into millions. Obviously, it doesn't convert into millions if you're doing very low scale. But if you're a guy getting multiple 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures a year, then yes, it's costing you millions not contacting your leads quickly. So it's all about the scale, but most of our clients are in that 7, 8 figure range, and a lot of them don't have this sort of stuff implemented, so it does cost them, millions of dollars. So let's say you're getting 100 leads a month, which is nothing, but let's say you're getting 100 leads a month, right? Let's say, you're contacting them in 10 plus minutes, and let's be generous in saying you're booking that at 20%. It depends what you're doing. Let's say if you're doing landing page versus lead form, these numbers are obviously going to vary, but let's say that's a 20% booking rate, which is what we see if we're contacting them in 10 plus minutes. It's a 20% booking rate, right? That turns out to obviously 20 bookings, okay? And then if you're contacting, 100 leads in 1 minute, you're going to be booking those at probably 40 to 50% from what we see, even higher, but let's just say 40. You are getting 40 booking. It's ridiculous, the difference in booking rate that we see with a 10-minute difference in speed to lead, being under 1 minute versus being 10 plus minutes. Like I said, nowadays people, their attention span's really low, their memory's a lot worse because they're scrolling social media, so they're gonna forget really easily, really quickly about you and your business. So yeah, you could essentially double your numbers, like I said. If this number's higher, then you could even triple your numbers or more, but yeah, it's probably one of the lowest hanging fruit that I see with roofing companies today that are calling their own leads in-house is the speed to lead stuff. And I get it. It's kind of hard to systematically implement this, especially because a lot of them, they call the leads themselves, or maybe they have their door knockers or their, closers call their leads, that come in. But oftentimes those guys are busy. Oftentimes you are busy. So you need to have a dedicated team. So I'm gonna go over how to do this in practice really quickly. So number 1 is you need to have a dedicated team only for calling leads. 2 is you need to have lead automation. So you don't wanna be checking manually if you're getting leads. You want a lead to send it your Slack channel, your CRM, your maybe iMessage even. You can do all those things. I would use certain softwares. I wouldn't use Zapier, but you can. But we see a 3 to 10 minute lead delay on Zapier, which affects speed to lead. So we actually use Go High Levels automations because they tend to not have any delay. Zapier is typically better with automations, but make sure there's not a big delay so you could check when the lead actually comes in versus when it's getting sent to your channel. And again, we saw 3 to 10 minute delays with Zapier, so we switched over to Go High Level, and it's helped our booking rate tremendously. 3, this one is really saucy and really special, is if you're calling these leads on a CRM, send a contact link into your CRM or into your Slack channel, So contact link. What this does is it can have your setters instantly click to the contact and dial them. So they don't have to spend the time searching up the CRM, typing in the lead's name, dialing the phone number, whatever. You could just instantly click to contact and you just dial them instantly. So that helps as well. That probably shaves off 30 seconds or 45 seconds, nothing crazy, but so that's something you could do as well that we've seen, be really helpful with our booking rates. 4th here, as I would say, track. So track this metric, right? You want to track this metric. And 5, You want to either incentivize or punish, to be honest, if speed to lead is bad, or both. We tend to do both here with our setter team. So we like to incentivize them to have good speed to leads, and we also punish them if they don't. Our culture is centered around speed to lead in our setter team. It's not really centered around much else. Like there's scripting, there's setting expectations, building relationships, etc. that we do emphasize, and that is important. But our entire culture is centered around that speed to lead number, and it is the thing that is probably talked about more than anything in our setter team, which has allowed us to have such high booking rates as a team. That's pretty much it though. If you implement all these things, get your speed to lead under 30 seconds, under 60 seconds, you're gonna see a drastic increase in booking rates. I promise you, we've done it, we've seen it ourselves. Now, if you are curious on any other strategies that we have, from ads to setting appointment scripts to lead nurturing, etc., sales stuff, we have it all on our channel for completely free. Check out those videos, subscribe, stay tuned for future videos.